You are listening to Three Kitchens, a member of the Alberta Podcast Network. Locally grown, community supported. Join your hosts, Aaron Walker, Heather Dyer, and Sarah Somasundaram. What's for dinner?
Did you know you have a superpower? No, we're not talking about flying or reading minds, although those would be pretty cool to have. You have the incredible ability to help young people see their own superpowers. Boys and Girls Clubs and Big Brothers Big Sisters of Edmonton and area, also called BGC Bigs, need you now. Consider sharing your time with a young person. They want to hear your stories.
Over the past year, BGC Bigs heard from young people that having a mentor means they're less likely to have anxiety, feel isolated, or struggle with their mental health. But there are more than 600 young people waiting for a mentor in their lives today. Explore how you can get involved and watch our community change, one life at a time.
There's currently a need for mentors in the Big Brothers Big Sisters or Big Siblings program, in school, for our Youth in Care program, and for the new PRISM program supporting 2S LGBTQ plus young people. There's also a need for virtual tutors who can support young people as they transition back to school and are dealing with the learning loss over the past 2 years. Join BGC Bigs for a virtual coffee or apply now at bgcbigs.ca or Google BGC Bigs Edmonton. Your priority, their future.
Hi, listeners. Welcome back to Three Kitchens podcast. This is Sarah Somasundaram with my two co-hosts, Heather Dyer and Aaron Walker. Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hello. So we're doing something a little different today. We're actually, two of us are sitting in a different location, so our audio might be a little different. Oh, and that's my dog. Sorry about that.
Hello, Archie. Good morning.
He also was like, I'm here, Sarah. Not only are your co-hosts here, but I'm here, Mommy.
That's right. So how's it going? What's happening?
So over the Christmas break, Heather and I both happened to stumble upon the same show on Netflix called 14 Peaks, a fearless Nepali mountaineer. I would say a crazy Nepali mountaineer.
I think you have to be a little crazy to want to climb those mountains.
He wants to summit all 14 of the world's 8,000 meter peaks in 7 months is his, is what the documentary is about. It's absolutely insane. And when you put it down to 7 months, you're like, oh, well, maybe like 2 a month or whatever, but he's doing like 3 peaks in like 48 hours kind of nuttiness.
Because you have to fit it into the weather, and you have to, some places are only open at certain times.
Right.
And so he had to there were times when you'd be back to back doing these things. And they do it, summit in like 12 hours or something, and back down again, and off they go to the next thing. Like, just insane. Yeah. So check it out if that interests anyone in, mountaineering and insane people.
Along the lines of that, I also listened to a podcast called, and it's not on the HRN, guys. I listened to a podcast. It's called the Modern Adventurer podcast, and it's with John Horsfall. And it's all these people who have done these incredible adventures, like walking across Mongolia or biking around the world, or all these kind of like extreme adventure people. It's all very, very interesting to listen to, because I never really want to do any of those things. I know, like, Heather, didn't you run a marathon once?
I don't think that's along the same lines at all.
Well, see, that even ups it from anything I've done. So like, I look up to you and I'm like, wow, she trained and ran a marathon. That's amazing. So, it's always a good pick me up to listen to. Sometimes in January, it feels like you're just dragging your feet through everything.
Yeah, and then February hits.
Yeah. And today is Blue Monday.
Oh, is it?
The most depressing day of the year, they say. It's not like an official holiday or anything. I don't know who says, but the most depressing day of the year, because the holidays are now done. It's still kind of bleak out there.
Your credit card bill has arrived.
Yes, maybe you haven't yet got those resolutions kickstarted,
or the resolutions you made sucked and you're like, oh, I hate this.
Oh, that could be. I already fail.
Yeah, you've already failed on your first resolution.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't make resolutions on New Year's Eve. I make resolutions in the spring when I start to wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
plan.
even listening to the radio this year, I think I turned it on New Year's Day or shortly thereafter. And their advice was like, take it easy, everyone. Let's not talk about resolutions. Let's just talk about surviving the day.
That's right.
Yeah.
Listening to someone do something crazy like
14 mountains.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel like, if you can do that, then I can surely do the laundry that I need to do today.
Yeah, I suppose.
Good point.
So that's going to help me on my Blue Monday.
Oh, good.
Blue Monday.
You know what's going to help me on Blue Monday?
What?
Dumplings.
Yeah.
Dumplings. So that's why we are sitting here in a different place.
In the kitchen.
Do I need to move to my kitchen yet?
Oh, do you not have your stuff set up?
I have nothing. There were no instructions, were there?
No.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I don't have anything set up. I'm just sitting in my kitchen. Was I supposed to set something up?
Yeah, sorry, guys. Yeah, I want yeah. So wait. Let me bring this in and then you guys can set it up. Okay.
Okay, good point.
All right. I told my co-hosts that we were going to do something a little different today. I actually had this planned a while ago and I love dumplings. You guys know that. I'm going to teach you how to make or fold a new kind of dumpling.
Nice.
I've made the filling. I made it a little different. We're going to talk about that too. But I also wanted to tell you sort of a story that was around dumplings.
Ooh.
And then we realized that Chinese New Year was coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went, okay, well, kind of all the stars are aligning. And so I am getting my co-hosts now to go to their kitchens and set up what the little kits that I dropped off to you this morning. It's got a dumpling mix that is already done. It's got your dumpling wrappers, and you need a bowl with some water in it to dip your finger in, because you're going to seal the dumplings. When you open your dumpling wrappers, and I gave you a full pack. When you buy wrappers or dumpling wrappers, they come in this plastic,
Right.
really thick sort of plastic wrapping. I like to always keep them in here, even if you don't use them all.
Okay.
You can put them into a Ziploc bag. I find that when you take them out and put them into a Ziploc bag, they get soggy.
Oh, okay. Good to
For
know.
some reason. I don't know why. So that's why I gave you a full pack.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
So open it. All right. So you guys set up?
Yes.
Ready to go?
I have
Okay.
wrappers open.
We are making shumai. Okay. And shumai is an open-faced dumpling. Very, very popular dish to order when you go for dim sum and on Chinese New Year. It's like a good luck little, like a pouch of goodness in there. And it always looks the traditional way it looks is it looks like a cup with filling in it. Okay. And usually they are made with pork and shrimp. And those are the two things that go in there. And then if you go to the really nice restaurants, they have a little topper of roe, like fish roe on top, right? And then these orange, it's like a little orange roe. It's not like caviar or anything.
Where
like
is
that.
our roe? I didn't
Black.
see that in my bag.
No roe. We're not that fancy.
Apparently this restaurant's not fancy enough, Heather.
Are you kidding me?
I actually have bought that roe before, but because the packages are so big, I don't tend to use them.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
then I end up wasting it. So there are two websites that I like to go to for Chinese food. One is the Walks of Life, and the other one is Omnivore's Cookbook. And in this case, I settled on the Walks of Life for her recipe.
Can I ask, is that WOK?
It is.
Okay.
W-O-K-S,
Okay.
yeah.
I
Walks
just wanted
of
to,
life.
I didn't want to
Not the
assume that it
walks
was
of
the
life.
play on words, but I kind of,
I used her measurements, I guess, for the sauces and the stuff. But instead of pork and shrimp, I used chicken and crab meat.
Oh, sounds so good already.
So go ahead and look at her recipe off of that website, or you can go to Omnivore's Cookbook, and she's got a really good recipe as well.
Awesome.
And you can put whatever you want in your dumpling.
I really like Omnivore's Cookbook for lots of recipes. Makes it simple and approachable.
Her pictures are so pretty.
You'll want to make it all.
So for shumai, usually you use round wrappers. The traditional way to make shumai is that you put the filling in the middle, you sort of push the filling in, and you moisten the edges, and then you sort of slowly kind of cup it around the filling, and it ends up looking like a cup.
Oh, it's almost like a little bag that's cinched, but not all the way.
Right. And it will be flat on the bottom, right? Because your filling is there. And then it just sits like, you know, when you go sometimes to a fast food restaurant and you get those little paper cups where you fill it with ketchup or...
Yes.
That's the shape of it. So I'm going to teach you a different way. Even though I think that fold is actually quite easy, the original one is actually really easy because you're not actually worried about pleating. Some people like to pleat it all very pretty.
And by some people, do you mean you?
She has special tools to do that.
Right.
Special tools. I find that there are like a few people who do say, it's kind of complicated. Like, I don't know how to do it. So I'm going to teach you an easier way. It
really is small. Like if I just put it on my hand the way you were doing and kind of push it in with no filling in it, it's really a tiny little cup. Like, how do you get the bottom flat though? Because my bottom's like poking.
When you put the filling in, it'll actually flatten out. And then you can always tap it on a plate to make it flat, right?
Cool. This is fun.
Yeah.
Instead, what we're going to do is you're going to hold your wrapper with your non-dominant hand. You're going to scoop some filling out.
Okay. How much? Is my cookie scoop too big, Sarah?
So I would go about 3/4 of that.
I don't have such a thing.
Scoops, listeners.
You don't have a cookie scoop?
I have a melon baller. Is that kind of the same?
Sort of, yeah. Heather.
It's okay. I'm using a teaspoon.
How many days till your birthday?
Do I really need a cookie scoop for my birthday? I'd rather have like a bottle of vodka or something. Don't you know me by now?
I'm going to get you a bottle of vodka and a cookie scoop.
How about it?
Okay. Seriously.
All right, Erin.
Yes,
Sounds
it is
good.
easier. It is.
I look forward to it.
Okay. Awesome. Sorry.
Since we're talking about the filling, so this filling has ground chicken, sugar, white pepper, cornstarch, something called Shaoxing wine, which I have in my pantry. Again, if you don't have it, just use dry sherry. Soy sauce, sesame oil, and then it's got mushrooms, ginger, scallion, oyster sauce, and crab meat. You mix that all together. The trick to this is because the cornstarch is in there and it'll keep it all together, add a little water and your mixture becomes fluffier and the texture changes for the dumpling, and it makes it sort of lighter dumpling. It's a little trick that never skip on the water. Okay.
Nice. It smells delicious. It's not even cooked yet.
No, it smells good.
So you've got your dumpling wrapper on your non-dominant hand. You're scooping some filling and you're going to put it right in the middle of your dumpling wrapper, but you're going to leave some space on the edges.
I think you've got more in yours, Erin, so I'm going to add some more to mine.
Okay.
You want there to be a good amount of meat in here, okay? Because you're not sealing this. This is an open-faced dumpling, so you don't have to worry about it being too much to seal up, right? Now, I'm going to teach you the easy way. You're going to take water and you're going to moisten the entire edge of the dumpling. And then you're going to take the opposite sides of the dumpling and you're going to pinch them so that it looks kind of like a boat.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you're going to turn it around and do the diagonally opposite sides. And it's going to look like, what would you call this? A 4-pointed star, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
Make sure that those edges are really pinched in, yeah?
Really pinched. Am I somewhere near?
You got it. Easy?
Totally easy. Yay!
Yeah, pretty easy, right? Okay,
yeah.
Go make the rest of the dumplings. I'm going to tell you a story while you do.
Okay, and we just set them on these little parchment squares you gave us?
Put them on the parchment paper. You guys are using metal steamers, correct?
Yes.
That's correct, yeah.
So what I heard about metal steamers is you might want to just lightly oil the steamer and then put these dumplings on the parchment paper and they won't stick.
Okay.
Oh, when we put it in the steamer.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yes, tell us a
Ready
story.
for a story about dumpling makers. Okay, so this story comes from Macau.
A cow?
Macau.
Oh,
Cow, not a
sorry.
cow.
I'm like, what kind of cows tell stories? I've never heard of this
It's
before.
about a cow that makes dumplings. No, it's not
never
about
know.
a cow that makes dumplings.
Hey, you do never know.
So this is a story about some fantastic dumpling makers, but specifically they were very well known for their baos. You remember baos, guys?
Yes. Is a bao considered a dumpling?
Well, yeah, we call it dumplings,
Oh.
but it's not a dumpling.
Okay,
It's
okay.
baos. They're steamed buns with different kinds of filling in it. And if you listeners are unfamiliar with it, there is, what episode was that? The very
Number
first
one,
episode
our
of
very first one.
season 1, episode 1. We go through, we talk about baos and we actually make baos, and they're good recipes.
Well,
in
Sarah
there, so
makes baos.
check it out.
We didn't make bao.
We
You guys
enjoyed.
ate it.
Sarah puts little cute faces on it and everything. So
Yeah.
check it out because they look adorable.
And we had a friend that made the recipe and she said it worked out good, didn't she?
Yeah,
Mhm,
that's right.
Baos are a thing for Chinese New Year, another must-have for Chinese New Year. Anyway, there's this restaurant in Macau, not the cow,
Yes,
Macau.
yes.
Okay, we got it.
And this was during the Portuguese rule, like years and years ago, right? And this restaurant was called the Eight Immortals, and it was very well known. And I guess it was also linked to a famous landmark place, like a hotel called Eight Immortals Hotel, which I think is still there. And the restaurant was owned by a man named Zheng Lin. Okay. And so this guy is from China. He comes in from China and he was a former street vendor. And obviously he cooked really well and he was able to save up and start this restaurant. And he was really, really dedicated to this restaurant, and his entire family gets involved in running this business. And I don't mean just like the wife and the kids. I'm talking about like cousins, aunts, uncles, like everyone in Macau is involved in running this business. They become really successful because they are making these fantastic baos and, they start making money. And they're so dedicated to this restaurant that they even live right next door. Like their house is right next door. They're really successful, really popular, doing really well. All of a sudden, something comes up and they have to suddenly go back to mainland China for a short time, right? So they have to close their restaurant. And of course, this is a money maker for them. And this is their livelihood. And so they close the restaurant for a few days, but then they decide to ask their friend to look after their business and house for them because they're not sure when they're going to get back, right? And this friend of theirs, he has worked in the restaurant before, so he knows what to do. He knows the ropes, and he agrees to take care of things while they are away. This really good friend of theirs, his name's Huang, he moves into their house and he reopens the restaurant and he starts taking care of things. And the restaurant runs really smoothly. It's doing really well. He's like a really good friend. Like he really dedicates himself to making this restaurant really successcul.
Nice.
He's doing a good job.
Huang is so nice.
Huang is such a good guy. So the Li family, they're still they were supposed to be in China for a few days. They weren't sure how long they were going to be away for. But then a few days turn into weeks.
Uh-oh.
And then the weeks turn into months. And Huang
What?
is still there tirelessly, running the restaurant.
Very
Still
nice
successful. Totally.
I hope they're paying him. Were they paying him too?
Were they paying him? See, there's this problem. Okay, nobody, including the Li family members or Huang, have heard from them.
Oh.
They just don't know where they are.
Uh-oh.
And so Zheng Li's brother, who lives in mainland China, then writes a letter to the Macau authorities and is concerned about the whereabouts of the family. And, they haven't been corresponding with Zheng's brother, and he's freaking out a little bit, right? It's been honestly almost a year. So let's go back to a few days after the Li family left for China. On the 8th of August, 1985, there are some people out for a swim and they come across some body parts.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, no.
That's not what you want to find when you're swimming.
No. And then over the next few weeks, more body parts show up on the beach.
Oh,
at first they think because nobody has been reported missing, seems like there's no foul play. They think that it was sharks.
Just some run-of-the-mill body parts.
it reminds me of when feet were washing up in Vancouver. Remember that?
Yeah, Totally.
Yeah.
Totally weird.
They thought it was sharks who got these people, like poor unfortunate souls who were probably maybe refugees from mainland China coming into Macau.
Hey, would sharks
right?
just leave bits of their dinner behind? I think a shark would finish you off, man.
Yeah.
Good question. Yeah, because the
Logic
meat was
says num num
right.
nums.
Right. And at first, there was no recognizable fingerprints as well. So they couldn't even identify these bodies.
Easily.
So they just assumed that they are people who are fleeing China. So it ends up looking like a cold case. But then on closer look at the bones and the body parts that were found at the beach, it becomes apparent that the bones were severed.
And not by shark's teeth?
Not by shark teeth, by a knife or whatever it is used to sever bones. Who knows?
Some sort of blade
I'm not
or
familiar
saw.
with that tool. Yeah. So over the next few weeks, more body parts start showing up and a fingerprint is found. So now, with the letter from the brother and one recognizable fingerprint from the bodies, it's yabba dabba do time. And the police now have something to actively start investigating the disappearance and possible death of the Lee family. So they start interviewing people. So people who worked at the restaurant and Huang and anyone who knew the Lee family, right? And the interview lands on a delivery guy who had been delivering restaurant supplies to the Lee family for many, many years, right? He knew them well. And his story starts some very strong suspicions. It's looking bad, guys. It's looking bad. So how are the dumplings coming?
I'm almost done. I think I've got one more to do.
I'm a little bit slower, but I'm getting there.
No problem. Okay, with these dumplings, when you are done, so put them on the little parchment papers. Bring your water to boil at like a medium-high heat.
Okay.
And then put your steamer on and steam them for about 12 to 14 minutes.
Oh, I can't wait to eat this.
I'm pretty hungry.
For your dips. Okay. This is what I like to do. So I think Erin knows this because I've told her this before. Always half and half rice vinegar and soy sauce.
Oh,
Sometimes I like to add a little bit more soy sauce. That's just my personal preference. But then you can add anything into that mixture. So if you want to put sesame oil in there, or you want to put a little bit of garlic in there or ginger, I like to put chili oil in it.
Yeah.
That becomes your dip for your dumplings. And my other favorite dip for my dumplings, and I don't know why, for me, for shumai, I need to have hot mustard.
Oh yeah.
I love hot mustard with
mustard and dumplings.
So I usually have both.
Yes. You started me on that. Yeah. That's right.
That sounds good. I'm not a big mustard fan, but I bet you it's good.
Mustard is the secret ingredient to everything.
What?
Yes.
No.
Yep.
Not everything.
Okay. For your toppers, for your dumplings, it's up to you. You can keep them plain. You can add whatever you want on top of it. So as I said, sometimes they're roe. Sometimes people put pieces of carrot on it, or you can put frozen peas on them.
Do you put them on fresh, or do you put them on and then steam them, Sarah?
You put them on and then steam them.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
This is simple. So 12 to 14 minutes. So go get that done, and you're going to eat. And then you're going to let me know when you are ready to come back, and I'm going to finish the story up.
Ooh, awesome.
What happened to the Lee family?
What the heck happened?
Dumpling maker.
Who cut off their limbs? If they did, indeed.
Delivery dudes looking sus.
Yeah, but so is the guy who took over the restaurant. Maybe he just wants to keep the restaurant.
Maybe he's not such a nice friend.
Yeah.
After all.
True crime fan over here. It's always somebody
True
close
crime.
to you.
That's
In
right.
the first 48 hours.
Or is it?
Or is it? In Alberta, you get to choose who to buy your internet, electricity, and natural gas from. Park Power has low overhead, which in turn allows them to offer low competitive rates.
Reach out for a no-obligation comparison by emailing estimates@parkpower.ca. If you decide to switch, it's easy.
It's really just a change to your billing, and you can feel good knowing you are helping to give back to our communities with your utility bills. Learn more at parkpower.ca.
All right, how were the dumplings?
Really yummy.
The dumplings were, and they are, freaking delicious. As always.
Awesome.
Yeah. My God, Sarah, I could just... So this little package you made up for me, if you could just make it up for me on a weekly basis, you know?
Yeah.
It's just enough for one serving.
Yeah.
I think I got 14.
I thought I made a lot, and then I made it up for my kids and husband's lunches, and then I gave you the rest because I had none left for me. So I'm like,
That's too bad.
but if you guys make lots, this is freezable. So once you fold those dumplings the way I taught you, the way you guys did it, right, into that star, you put it on a parchment paper on a tray, and you stick the tray into your freezer and you flash freeze it. And once it's frozen, you take them and throw it into a Ziploc bag, stick it in your freezer. Whenever you want some dumplings, you take them out and you steam them. Just steam them for a little longer because they're frozen, right, at that point.
Right.
And there's your lunch. There's your, very easy, right? You just have to put a really fun movie or podcast on and listen to a story and then make dumplings.
They're so easy to fold, way easier than trying to enclose it. Like even making empanada or pierogi or whatever, like any kind of closed dumpling. I always have trouble with the pinching part.
They just are never, ever the same.
Yeah. And this is so easy and way faster.
Yeah.
Way faster.
Simple stuff. Delicious. I think I see what you mean by like the filling becoming puffier, because when it cooked up, it kind of like a little bit.
Yes.
It did puff.
So it makes it lighter inside. So it's not dense like a regular meatball, right? It's a little lighter.
This reminds me of, and it may be from the Omnivore's Cookbook, I can't remember, but there's a meatball recipe,
the pork
meatball that you also mix water into. And the idea is that it makes it lighter and it goes farther. You're stretching the meat so that you can make more of it because it's expensive, right?
Yeah.
If you like
really
making
works.
pork meatballs, Heather, you have to have a cookie scoop to do so. Am I right, Sarah?
Yes.
Apparently I need such a thing.
I'm sorry. I'm still fixated on the fact that you don't have a cookie scoop, because it works really good for all fillings.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes filling sticks to your fingers. So when you use the cookie scoop, it actually really helps.
It makes everything way faster stuff. Now that my hunger's been satisfied, my curiosity needs to be.
Yes.
Good job.
We'll get back to the story.
Nice work.
So let's get back to the story. Oh, by the way, guys, I made a little Blues Monday blip. I've been calling them the Lee family. They're actually the Lin family. I apologize. I forgot the N in my notes. The police interviewed the delivery guy, right? And this guy delivers meat to the Eight Immortals restaurant, as I said, for years and years and years. And he says he remembers the day that the Lin family left for China because it strikes him as odd that they had made an order the night before for all this meat. And so he turns up the next morning at the restaurant with their delivery, and there's a notice on the restaurant door saying that the restaurant is going to be closed for the next 3 days. So he's a little confused. He's like, well, what do I do with this delivery? So he goes over to their house, which is like just next door, and rings the doorbell, and Huang is the one who answers it and tells the delivery guy, hey, you know what? The family had to leave urgently, and, I can't just open up this restaurant. Give me a few days and it'll open up and we'll be back to running this restaurant again, right? So the delivery guy is like, okay, I guess. And, whatever, he's got other things to do. So he goes about doing his own deliveries and doesn't give a second thought to it after, right? So then the police are like, okay, maybe we should go talk to Huang because it looks like something's not adding up.
Sussy.
Sussy.
Sorry, I hang around my 11-year-old son for too
okay,
many
but
days.
Sussy, I haven't heard that one yet. Okay.
You can add any ending to sus.
Man.
Super sussy is what he would say.
Super sussy. Okay, so the police look into Huang first before they question him, right? They start looking into him, and the guy's from China. So like China records and Macau records, they share them and everything. But they can't find any record of this Huang guy from China, right? They just don't know anything about his past. They find out that he had a different name in China. So here's Huang's story. He sort of gets into a life of crime. And in fact, there is an incident where a man owed him some money and he ended up killing him. So he burns off his fingertips, Huang does, and he changes his identity and he flees to another province called the Canton province. By the way, Canton province, Cantonese food, that's what you guys are eating right now.
Very cool.
And where he falls in love with his landlord's daughter. And the landlord is like, no freaking way my daughter's hanging out with this guy. They can just tell like he's a bad guy, right? And so the daughter and him move to Macau. They run off to Macau under a different name and they meet the Lin family. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Lin and Huang have quite a few things in common. They're all from China originally, and Zhang and Huang are the same age.
Okay.
And another thing that they have in common is they love gambling. They just go for these gambling nights together and they have a great time and they become good friends. And Huang sometimes like works at the restaurant and blah, 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 and they're all good. But one day they go out gambling and unlike previous nights, they start going into a really high stake game. And the Lin family ends up owing Huang a lot of money. And I mean like a lot of money, like tens of thousands of dollars, right? But they're friends. So the Lin family says, hey, we'll pay you the money. And Huang's like, okay, you know what? You'll have 1 whole year to pay it off. Like, we're good friends. But if you don't pay it off within a year, I get the restaurant. Mm-hmm. And the Lin family says, right. So what's the problem? I mean, the restaurant is doing really well. They're going to get their money back. I mean, the Lin family they are successful, but they unfortunately are heavy gamblers and they get into more and more and more debt.
Oh boy.
And so they're able to return the money to Huang. So on the night of August 4th, 1985, Huang goes to confront the Lin family in the restaurant. And Mr. and Mrs. Lin, their kids, and I told you the extended family, all of these people are in the restaurant, they're cleaning up, they're prepping for the next day. And Huang says, it's time to hand over the restaurant. The year is done. Where's my money? Or give me the restaurant. And the Lins are like, no, we're not going to do that. So Huang's like, what are you talking about? This is just no, like that's just not going to work. So Huang breaks a bottle, grabs the 7-year-old son, puts the bottle to his neck and says, tie yourselves up. Right now. There are 9 people, including the son. There are 9 people in this restaurant.
Holy moly.
And then he finishes binding them up because they don't want the boy to get hurt. One of the cousins or aunts or one of the extended family people gets free and starts screaming. And when she starts screaming, Huang panics and stabs her and kills her. So now he is in a conundrum because he's like, crap. I killed someone. I got 8 witnesses. So I guess I got to kill the other 8 as well.
Oh.
So he starts killing the other 8 people. And the 7-year-old son like screams out going, my auntie's going to find out about what you did and you're going to get caught. And he goes, oh, crap. Okay. So he kills all 9 of them and then calls up the auntie and says, your nephew is sick and the Lin family needs you to come over to take care of him while they clean up the restaurant. And so auntie comes over and he kills his 10th victim.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so 10 murders. Huang then proceeds to, let's just say, deconstruct these bodies and dispose of them, right? Yeah. So he puts some of the body parts in the sea, right? And that's, remember, we talked about that. Those body parts turning up on the beach. He then gets the key to the Lin family house and the deed to the restaurant, right? He takes over the business and I assume to make his money back that he lost. He's also in possession of all the documents of the parents, the kids, the extended family, like you're talking about student passes, passports, like everything. So when the police raid his house, they find all this evidence. In the meantime, he tries to flee Macau because he realizes the police are onto him, but he gets caught. So don't worry. He ends up in prison in 1986. So this is about a year after the murder. So imagine he went basically a full year getting away with this, right?
Yeah.
And what is also interesting is more body parts of these victims were found in 1989, which was 4 years after the murders, in a dump, like a city dump or something like that, right? So now we know like Huang did it. Huang actually confesses to the whole thing, and it becomes this huge story in Macau because he killed 10 people and he got away with it for so long, right?
Yeah.
He ends up committing suicide in prison after several attempts. He was successful. This is how ridiculous this man is, like in his head. He writes a letter to the media making it very clear that he took his life not because he committed the murders, but because he could not live with his asthma anymore. Here's the mystery. When these murders happen, this man is 50 years old, okay? Huang is 50 years old. He has asthma. He deconstructs and disposes of 10 bodies. But do you know how long it took for him to do it? 8 hours. How was that possible? Even the police can't figure out how a man who's not the healthiest of men, and he is quite a bit older, was able to
do all this
in 8 hours. And so they think that he had an accomplice, maybe one, maybe two, but these accomplices are still out there.
Maybe a meat delivery guy?
Meat delivery.
I was really afraid you were going to say that their meat ended up in the dumplings. So I'm just like, relieved. The meat delivery guy, the murders. I was like, oh no.
There's more, guys. There is more. So the urban legend in Macau, because this story is known as the 8 Immortal restaurant murders. But the locals know it as the Bao murders. Not all the parts of the bodies were found.
She's right. Erin was right.
No, please don't say that.
Erin's expression is like, what the fuck? And this restaurant was extremely successful.
Everybody was eating there.
Oh, yeah. The rumor is that the customers were eating the evidence and that they, in fact, were what they ate. So, guys, there is actually a movie about this called The Untold Story. Okay. And apparently it won like awards in Hong Kong, and like it was really well done. Like even they got like best actor and stuff like that. And apparently it's a really good, an old one, but a good gross one.
Yeah.
How'd you like that story, guys?
That's a great story.
I'm super glad I had my dumplings before that ended.
That's why I asked you first. How are the dumplings?
I'll still eat mine. I'm okay with it.
Okay, so Heather, I want to know the mustard, game changer.
Yummy.
Yeah, right. It's good with.
I don't know that I could I wouldn't say like I can't eat them without mustard, but it's tasty for sure. I'm just not the biggest mustard fan, so I could take it or leave it. My son, I don't know if you heard him in the background, but he came up and he ate a couple of them and he liked the mustard with his.
Oh, good.
But he's a big mustard. He puts mustard on everything. So,
good for you, little guy.
Yeah.
There concludes our dumpling episode. Dumplings to eat and dumplings to talk about. Go try doing this, not the murder, the dumpling. Go try the dumpling. It's really easy. Lots of different recipes out there, and you can substitute things as you like.
We have so many dumpling wrappers left. So I know I have some shrimp in my fridge, and I'm going to get some pork, and I'm going to have some really happy kids when I make these, because Sarah knows my oldest son is just the biggest fan of all the Asian cooking that she does. And whenever Sarah brings something over and I don't share and they find out, I get in a lot of trouble. And since I've consumed everything you gave me, I better get on that.
Hope you enjoyed the episode.
I did.
We sure did.
It was different.
This was really fun. I super enjoyed this. Thank you for sharing your creepy stories. And
I'm here for all of the stories. Tell me all the stories.
All of the stories.
And now for the fine print. We at Three Kitchens gratefully acknowledge we are telling these stories in the traditional territories of the Treaty 7 Nations in southern Alberta and the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. We honor the rich tradition of oral storytellers on this land who have come before us. You can find pictures and recipe links on Instagram and Facebook at 3 Kitchens Podcast. If you like and subscribe on your podcast player, that helps more people find us.
Mom, these dumplings are delicious, but should I ask what's in them?